in front of the speakers and the screen. Hallelujah. Jimmy on the microphone, just like the Lord intended. This is Jimmy Lakey. Hey. Unleashed, unbeat, unfiltered, unfiltered. There's the things you're afraid to say. This is the day the Lord has made from the house of Lakey. And the Lakey Entertainment Towers be proclaimed. Streamcast, podcast, broadcast, information, entertainment in Jesus' name. Oh yeah. From the house of Lakey to the ends of the earth, you are tuned in to Jimmy Lakey. Unleashed. Oh, this is Jimmy Lakey. Yeah. Unfilled. Unafraid says the things you're afraid to say. This is the day the Lord has made from the house of Lakey.
And the Lakey Entertainment Towers be proclaimed.
Streamcast, podcast, broadcast, information, infotainment in Jesus' name.
All right. There we go. The choir is singing my name, just like Mama said would happen one day. She didn't ever say that happened. If I could tell her now what was happening, the choir singing my name. Hey, everybody's got to have a choir singing your name sometime. If you'd like help on that, we'd love to give you advice on how you too can have a choir singing your name. In the meantime, Jaime Lagos, Jimmy Lakey is my name. Pleasured, pleased, thrilled, and slightly tingly that I am to be here on the program, and hope you feel the exact same way on the day the Lord has made. It's Monday, February the 23rd, year of our Lord 2026. Well, the world's blowing into chaos, right? I got word yesterday after, I don't know if it's true yet. We'll check in with R.P. Newman here in just a second. Puerto Vallarta and other Mexican airports under siege, and the station is the nation is in crisis. We'll talk about that. I've said for years, I don't mean to say I told you so, but I did tell you so. Mexico is nothing more than a narco-terrorist state, always has been. The presidents are pawns of the cartels, and they are definitely not necessarily good people over there. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. We'll talk with R.P. Newman on that topic here in just a couple of moments and check in with that. And on the topic of Iran, you don't want to miss R.P. Newman. That's coming up in literally about 2 minutes away. But we'll talk about what's happening in Mexico as well. I did talk to my friend Kevin at Southwest Airlines yesterday, and he said that flights had temporarily, until further notice, been canceled into several Mexican airports. I got an idea. Mexico's a narco-terrorist state. We as the United States, maybe California or Texas or Arizona, could annex the Baja Peninsula, the Baja California part of Mexico, and let the rest of that cesspool of a nation go to hell in a handbasket as it already has, thanks to very feckless leaders in Mexico that are, again, pawns and puppets of the cartels. But we'll talk about that here in just a moment as well. United States won a big hockey match yesterday. Maybe you saw. Big celebration. You had a lot of unwelcome hatred for the United States early in the Olympics by some of these putsy athletes. But I have to tell you, yesterday was fantastic to watch the USA men's hockey team all singing the Star-Spangled Banner, tears in their eye, the national anthem, and shouting, "We love America." And Kash Patel, to see him shaking up the champagne and taking a little bit of champagne with him in the locker room of the USA hockey team, that was fantastic as well. So good for Kash. I'm glad he wasn't driving. That's a very good thing. There was a man killed at Mar-a-Lago yesterday, and assassination attempt number 3 is the question mark. I have to ask you, what say you? A young man, 21 years of age, evidently very deranged, very focused on the Epstein files, whipped into a tizzy and a frenzy by the media and his puppeteers, I guess, here in America. And he decided to enter into Mar-a-Lago with a gas can and a shotgun, and that did not end well for the little dipstick that did that. So unfortunately, a loss of life. But again, it just shows the Trump derangement syndrome is real, and the modern Democrat Party keeps whipping people up into a frenzy of hatred, and where they'll shoot you and kill you if they disagree with you. They don't like you, they'll kill you, like they did Charlie Kirk, like they tried to do President Trump a couple of times already. That's the American left, the American Democrat Party at work, filled with hate and vitriol and literally mental illness. It's Trump derangement syndrome. We'll talk more about that as well. All right. Oh, I saw the story. Palm Beach is going to be renaming their airport with the thanks to the Florida legislature to Trump International Airport. I want to fly into Trump International. I don't have any business coming up in Palm Beach, but I think I want to now. As soon as they change the name, I want to be able to say, we're now landing at Trump International Airport. That's going to be fun. Would you rather land at Trump International or go to Vegas and land at Harry Reid? Yeah, they don't call it. Is it still called? It is Harry Reid. It was McCarran. Now it's Harry Reid. Yeah, we still call him McCarran because I don't want to give that putz any credit for the disaster that he was to America. But, that's what Nevada does. And Florida is a free state. Florida does better things, and they do much better things. All right, let's go to R.P. Newman. He's our guest here on the program. Talk some foreign affairs. Tomorrow, of course, we'll get to talk State of the Union. President Trump gives his State of the Union. Word is that he's inviting the men's and women hockey teams to be his guest in the gallery there. And they both have won gold medals against Canada. So God bless America. And we'll see if those players are in the gallery tomorrow night at the State of the Union. More to come on that. But we bring from the Peanut Gallery into the main event, we bring in Mr. R.P. Newman, author and foreign policy analyst extraordinaire. You've seen him on the Newsmax. You've seen him on the Fox News. You've seen him on all the networks. And here he is on the Lakey Unleashed Streamcast podcast and broadcast. R.P. Newman, how are you, sir?
Hello. Is this thing on? Hello. I'm not doing any singing either. You seem to imply I was going to sing during your intro monologue. I want to, let me snuff that out right now. No.
What about the dancing? Are you acting the dancing as well?
Well, that's different. I'm pretty good. I learned from, of course, Dancing Bear on Captain Kangaroo. And you remember Captain Kangaroo. You had Bunny Rabbit, Mr. Moose, Mr. Green Jeans, and Dancing Bear. And I haven't heard of any of those four guys in quite a while.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of it in a while. So, we'll look forward to your dancing moves. I don't know. I know you got a book coming out. Is your dancing video going to follow shortly?
I'm trying to get an agent. One agent I'm speaking to right now, and she's looking at some of my reels, not fishing reels. So some of my news reels and things, and I'm hoping to get picked up. But we'll see if we can branch out into dancing.
Yeah.
As you'll notice that the Iranian terrorist regime hierarchy is doing some dancing now. They're also, they talk more trash than a $2 radio. We've discussed that before. But keep in mind that simply because somebody is talking trash doesn't mean they can't hit you. They can hit you. But when it comes to prognostications, see, I said a big word there because I understand your audience is into that. We don't know how this one is going to go yet, but we can make some pretty well-informed assessments of what they might try to do, Jimmy.
Now, you and I talked several weeks ago that President Trump had given an implied promise, keep protesting, help us on the way. The Iranian people have been murdered, massacred, genocided, whatever you want to call it, and help has not been on the way. Then we all of a sudden hear help us on the way, but now we're negotiating with Iran. Help people understand, what the hell are we negotiating? You ain't going to get nuclear weapons. There's no negotiation to be had here. What is this negotiation that we have? And is this just a stall so that the military assets can get put in place?
That's exactly what it is. It's the latter. This is time, and the president and all of his folks from Secretary Hegseth on down, they're working the time angle, and you have to do that. Now, yes, we have let's just say a lot of assets there right now. We have plenty to conduct a very successful operation against the Iranian terrorist regime. Do we want some more there? Yes, apparently we do. And that would be great if we can get some more. So the USS Ford, Gerald R. Ford, the supercarrier, largest in the world, has now passed the pinnacles of Hercules and is in the Mediterranean, and they're steaming east. So they are within striking range now as well, provided they have all the aerial refuelers like the KC-46s and the KC-135s, which we have hundreds strategically staged in the area right now that can fuel strike aircraft and other support aircraft like E-2C Hawkeyes and aircraft like that would support such an operation. So this is time, and when you're dealing with terrorists as far as negotiations go, here's the great thing about the Iranian terrorist regime, and there is a great thing. They are predictable. And being able to predict your enemy's moves at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels is a wonderful thing to have. It's a great skill set. Are we going to bat 1,000%? No, we're not. But we're going to do very, very well. But they can draw blood, even with some primitive weapons, comparatively speaking, and even with some lower tech weapons, a lot like drones. But we have defensive capabilities as well. Many people are who say that, I know what they're going to do, and we're going to be in big trouble. They're going to mine the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to strike our vessels at sea and all kinds of our land targets in the area with drones. It'll be death from above. We have defensive capabilities there as well. So does Israel. And of course, Iran will very likely attempt to take on Israel at the same time. Israel has a new defensive system called Iron Beam. This is in the 100 kilowatt range, and it can go up to 240 kilowatts. This is a directed energy weapon, and it is now fielded from one end of Israel to another. They have an operational laser defense system.
Wow.
And it's supposed to be really something. It's mostly created by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems in Israel. A heck of a thing. And the president, our president, is even looking at looping it into our Golden Dome system. So lots of developments.
Now, this not almost a year ago, the Israelis bombed the heebie-jeebies out of Iran, and then the United States went in with those B-2s, and we took out their nuclear capabilities. Did Iran already rebuild if they're thinking of going off offensively? I mean, is it the same song, different verse? Iran and the United States bombing the heck out of, Israel and the United States bombing the heck out of Iran. What good does it do to bomb them again if last year's bombing didn't end it? Don't you have to get rid of the regime?
Getting rid of, regime change presents its own problems. We can discuss that in a minute. But are they rebuilding? Going back to your previous question, are they rebuilding? Have they rebuilt? They're trying to rebuild. One of the things that we're very, very likely to hit is called Pickaxe Mountain, and that is north of Natanz, which and we've been looking at satellite imagery and other imagery, and they are really working very hard, 24/7. With a lot of heavy equipment in there, and they're trying to cover up what they've got underground at Pickaxe Mountain. And we know it's nuclear material and nuclear systems of some sort, so that will be struck very heavily. And what is telling is at the other sites we hit, you don't see that level of activity of heavy equipment running 24/7, trying to set up defensive systems for against GBU 57. Those are the big 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrators that the B2s dropped this past summer. At the other sites that we struck, we don't see that level of activity. So that tells you something right there. Could it be a ruse? Yes. Is it? No, it is not. And when it comes to regime change, something that you always must consider. All right, let's say that we get rid of the current Ayatollah, and his terrorist regime falls. I mean, they're not in control of the government at the minute. What do you do, and what will they do with 150 to 190,000 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps members? They are not all going to go back to their Toyota Hilux pickup trucks, park them on the side of the road, and go back to their old job of selling saffron and pistachios on the side of the highway. Many of them will be a kinetic problem. So how do you deal with that? Also, okay, who's the new leader? Is it going to be Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was overthrown in 1979 and replaced by Ruhollah Khomeini? And how does he get power? Will there be democratic elections? Reza Pahlavi wants very, very much to be the next Shah and sit on the Sun throne, sometimes called the Peacock throne. Don't confuse any of these thrones with what they have in India. The Sun throne is the real name of the traditional throne there in Iran, what used to be called, of course, Persia.
The voice of RP Newman. You're listening later in the day with the podcast version of the show. Of course, thousands of earballs hear this show, and that's RP Newman. We'll tell you how you can get a copy of his books and his upcoming book regarding Iran. That's coming up here in just a moment. We heard in the previous protests that happened in Iran that the Ayatollahs had the jets warmed up. They were thinking of heading off to Moscow or somewhere else. We've also heard that lots of money has been wired out of the country. What are you hearing from your assets on the ground or people that you know or in the know? Are the Ayatollahs and the current government of Iran still feeling they're volatile, or do they feel like they've got their footing back after last month's protest?
They have evacuation plans. We just learned in the last few days, I think it was reported in some mainstream media yesterday, but it's actually was going to happen. It was happening in the process of happening a few days before that. Is the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He has selected his replacement if that person lives. And it wasn't the current president either. So, but yes, they are moving money. They're also developing what are called EPAs, and that's not Environmental Protection Agency. That's Evasion Plans of Action, EPAs, meaning how are they going to get out of the country if the regime goes down? And they have air and land routes plotted depending on who the person is and wants to do the evasion and get out of there. So, and they go up through three of the stands north of Iran, and also out through Armenia, out that way. And some think that they might also try to get out by boat and try to get somewhere, or by ship. Now we can close that off very, very quickly. They could try it, but it's unlikely they would get very far. So naturally, we have intelligence assets set up along all of these suspected or known routes, and we're also watching where this money goes. And money can be a very darn difficult thing to track, but we have some wonderful people and some very capable agencies who will try very hard to track that money, and then watch where it comes out of. Now, remember, when you withdraw money that's stolen in huge amounts, just because it goes from one account to another, it doesn't mean somebody is near that receiving account, because they're going to move it from account to account to account, and you could be anywhere in the world and access your money.
Yeah. Again, the voice of RP Newman. President Trump last week said maybe 15 days, 10 days. He's kind of alluded to a timeline of which action is going to take place. If you were a guessing man or a knowledgeable man, what would you say? Is 15 days going to be the marker here?
It seems to be. Now, remember, a few days ago, he started at a 10-day warning.
Yeah.
And then just a day later, he went to 15 days. So he got an intelligence update. The president is receiving multiple intelligence updates every day. So he pushed it to 15. And exactly why, we don't know, because people in the White House, especially as compared to our last president and his administration, they tend to try to keep their yap shut and not tip your hand. But that 15 days gives more assets time to get into what's called the AO, the area of operations. Yeah. And it's a widespread area of operations indeed, because the Iranians don't just have some short-range rockets. They can strike all the way to Eastern Europe if they could get a weapon, a particular type of ballistic missile off. And that's a long way into Eastern Europe. And they can hit. They're well within range of any American and American ally targets in the Gulf. And some people, I've read an assessment the other day saying, well, they might send one of their Kilo class submarines. They have 3 Kilo class, which is quite quiet submarine if you have a well-trained crew on. It's more than just the engine that runs, and they're not nuclear. They're electric. And not like a Prius, it's completely different. And they're diesel electrics. They're going to try to send a Kilo class submarine to get within range of Diego Garcia. Okay, now, is it possible? Well, yes, it is. It's also possible that a Pelican might fly through my window in a moment and attack me. It's unlikely. We have the finest anti-submarine forces and equipment and platforms in the world. it would be highly unlikely. But sometimes, Jimmy, the highly unlikely actually gets pulled off. But
Yeah.
we're aware of some of these assessments.
That's what happened to you and I broadcast career. The highly unlikely actually happened, and we did that for many years. So
Strange.
All right, real quick. I've said for years that Mexico's a narco-terrorist state. These presidents are puppets and pawns of the cartels. Over the weekend, breaking late yesterday, Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, I believe, under siege by the cartels. What is happening in Mexico? I know a lot of airlines have canceled flights into certain airports. Who's running the place, and at least in these particular cities? Give us the intel. Mexico, sir.
A long time ago, shortly after 9/11, Fox News calls me up and says, can you come on here, please, and give us an assessment of a broader view of the war on terror, not just what's going to happen in regards to Al Qaeda and the Taliban. Can you tell us, because the president declared like this is a GWOT, the global war on terror. Okay, got that. And they wanted to talk about what other terror attacks might happen. I went on there, and to the great consternation of some of my peers, they yes, that was a little snarky. I know. I've been working on my material. you told me to be ready this time. Like, oh man,
yeah, don't suck as bad as usual.
I said, that's right. I said, you got to watch what's going to happen in the narco-terrorist state of Mexico. And I said that the cartels will absolutely, instead of just attacking police or military or government targets in Mexico, they will turn their attention toward the tourist resort areas. That sent my peers, many of them, into a flat spin, and they never pulled out of it. And so this attack yesterday by the New Generation Jalisco Hotel, or excuse me, cartel. They do have hotels. Hotel California. I think they own that now.
Wow.
I'm not sure, though. I'll have to get with Don Hunley. Oh, wait, I can't. He's dead. But I said, this is what they're going to do. And prior to this attack, they, for several years now, they have been attacking in resort areas. They've run jet skis up onto beaches and attacked targets laying on the beach trying to improve their tan. They have found severed heads in places like Cabo San Lucas on the main drag. Okay? So they've been doing this. And it was only a matter of time, as I accurately assessed all those years ago, before they really start ramping it up. This demonstrated a couple of things with yesterday's attack. They have the willingness to do it, and they have the capability to do it. Just because you're willing to do something doesn't mean you always have the capability and the intent. Well, they did have the capability, and they did have the intent. And they demonstrated also, on the flip side, they can do multiple targets in extreme short order. That's C2. That's command and control, and it's C3, command, control, and communications. And they were able to pull this off, and now look at the situation that we have. And this was easy to predict for me, because you must understand who you're predicting about. If you understand what their objectives are, and look at things like their weaponry, their communication skills, what they've done in the past, they've never de-escalated. They've always escalated. Every time. They don't de-escalate. That's a trend. And it's great when terrorists have a trend. It provides continuity, which we can target. Will the president do this? We don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. Now, we see on the screen the cartel leader was killed by the Mexican government, or is the U.S. Is the U.S. involved here at all, or are they helping Mexico out? Does Mexico
yes.
help?
Yeah, we are. As a matter of fact, some Navy SEALs were involved with the training of the unit that killed El Mencho yesterday. And the SEALs are great. Yes, I'm a Force Recon Marine. I get that. We have wonderful competition with the SEAls. They're some of the best people in the world. I'll tell you what's dangerous about Navy SEALs, though. One day I found myself teaching at a rather, some say it was controversial, military and terrorism conference and exposition just south of Tampa. It was down in Clearwater. And sitting out, so I'm teaching this class, and all kinds of cats and dogs from all over the world. This organization or event was called the Intelligence Summit, and it doesn't run anymore, but it did for years. And sitting in my classroom is Demo Dick Marcinko, the founder of Red Cell and SEAL Team 6. And so I'm looking at him. He's got the ponytail, the beard up to his eye. Look like the Wolf Man. Beard up to his eyes, and this guy is the real deal. I'd never met him before, and he's sitting in my class, so I felt pretty good about that. He's probably laughing, but because I mean, this guy can look at you and kill you with a look. But so I'm wrapping up my class. There's people from all over the world in there. I don't want to ask them too many questions, what they're doing in there, who they really work for. And I look at him and I said, Commander, you got anything else, before I close out? And he goes, oh, just that my presentation is next. So I go sit in on his. It's fantastic. And here's the danger with Dick Marcinko is gone now. He died of cancer. This was a great American, fabulous author, and what a leader of special operations. And so he says, hey, let's go to the bar. Okay, that was a mistake. Error on my part. So yeah, I can keep up with this guy. I can do that. Force Recon Marine. Yeah, sure. Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I've recovered yet. That was a long time ago. I went out drinking against a professional.
Yeah, that's kind of like going out with producer Chad. You go out with him, you're just hanging.
Yeah,
up.
You're gone. You just call the ambulance now. I mean,
get an IV, call the ambulance, and be done with it. All right. So, if you advise, should I cancel my spring break plans to Mexico in the next few weeks?
I would reconsider. But I'll leave it there. We'll have to see how things develop. Of course, I see you 2 or 3 times a week in Cosbar Cigar in Lafayette, the world's greatest cigar shop. Everyone stop by. It's in the what is that thing called? The Antelope Valley Mall, 95th and Arapahoe.
That's it. Atlas Valley, I think it's called.
Yeah. Okay.
Atlas Valley.
Atlas Valley.
All right, so we'll compare notes because nothing else. RP Newman, let's go to Costa Rica instead for spring break. How about that?
We shall do that. I will see you down there. We shall catch large fish. Bring river.
I've got to bring my kiddo. RP Newman, I know you got a grandkid coming to visit you to go to the park with grandpa. So not just are you a badass on the podcast, streamcast, and broadcast, you're a grandpa. So go play in the playground and enjoy, sir.
Will do.
You got it. RP Newman, my friends. And don't forget, he's got a new book coming out about Iran and the threats there. We'll talk about that here in forthcoming days and weeks. Don't miss that. And we'll have him back on the show so you can find out how to follow RP Newman. He's got like 19 books he's written. So some of them are about military strategy. Some of them are about the great art of fishing. And some of them are not. You just look up RP Newman on your Amazon and find out what you see, and we'll have RP Newman back on here in just a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good to have you here. It's a Monday edition of the show, the 23rd day of February, year of our Lord 2026. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled to have you here on the show. Want to remind you this program brought to you in part by Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Go to the website and check out her website. Check out how she can help you. I'll give you a little insight, though, my friends. She views every client, whether you're a buyer or a seller, as someone that has the potential to create generational wealth with your real estate transaction. You think you're just upsizing, downsizing. You think you're just getting a better landscape yard, bigger backyard. No, she sees it from a potential that if you play the game right, and it is a game, if you have the right strategy, then that house or that home, whether you're buying it or selling it, can create generational wealth for you and your kids and your grandkids. And that's how she views real estate. Listen, there's certain windows of opportunity you have to understand in the game. As a matter of fact, you could sometimes in the same neighborhood, side by side, list a home for sale. And Sherry will tell you that depending on when you list it, you can have tens of thousands of dollars of money that go poof when you come to selling it. The selling market is real. You got to know the window. You got to know the best buying market here in Colorado. The I-25 corridor, right up the I-25 from the Denver up to the Fort Collins, down to the Park Meadows, the Highlands Ranch, out to Boulder, out to Aurora, the home of Tren de Aragua, all of these places. She can help you navigate the real estate world. And again, buying or selling, you owe it to yourself interview her. You're going to interview realtors. You're being foolish. I'm telling you, being foolish if you're just going with the last person that helped sell your home and don't interview them, find out what their views are on the market. And just because you know them, they're your neighbor, sometimes you might want to just say, you know what, I'm going to have to go with someone else. It's all about generational wealth. It's all about your future. It's all about investment. It's all about making money. It's all about getting the right house, and you got to have the right person to help you do that. HomesWithSherry.com. Just because your next door neighbor or your Sunday school teacher says they're a realtor doesn't mean they're going to get you the maximum dollar for your house. HomesWithSherry.com. HomesWithSherry.com. Hello, Colorado. HomesWithSherry.com. If you're outside of the area that Sherry works in, maybe even outside of the state, she has a great referral network. Just reach out to her, and she can help you find somebody that's going to help you in your area. HomesWithSherry.com. All right, Marlon Marache is on the program. He's a retired LAPD Public Information Officer, Internal Affairs Sergeant. He joins us back on the show today. Mr. Marache, welcome back to the show, sir.
What's going on, Jimmy? Good morning. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Glad to have you back on the show. I want to talk about this Nancy Guthrie story, but before I do, yesterday we woke up to the news that another gunman, potential gunman with a shotgun and a gasoline can, has showed up at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. The president was not there, but this would make for the third attempted assassination, you could call it, against President Trump. Give me your point of view as a law enforcement officer. Palm Beach police were on the site, Secret Service was on the site. When you heard the news yesterday that a gunman had penetrated Mar-a-Lago and was shot dead, what were your thoughts as a policeman?
First initial thoughts is, you know what, it doesn't surprise me with everything that's going on around the world, not just the nation. One, two, if I was Palm Beach PD, I would start considering more sources, right? If I was a chief, and start max on deployment, gather more intel to ensure that something like this doesn't happen. We shouldn't have breaches at the Mar-a-Lago, let alone any other, known type of location. So it's really, I wouldn't say difficult, but challenging times for law enforcement. But we need as many people as possible, not only just to join, right, to become cops, but the cops that are out there, just be very, very diligent, very vigilant with what you got going on. So those are my first thoughts. Yeah. And of course, the world is just, there's a lot going on, Jimmy.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question let's take the president out of it, Secret Service out of it. But if you had an ongoing violence issue, let's say in LA, and you had just this fury of hatred towards whatever or whomever, and it kept spawning violence and potential murders happening, as an LAPD retired sergeant, a public information officer, would you be concerned about some of the rhetoric that's spinning these people up into that frenzy and say, hey, media, maybe you want to tamp this down. Hey, whoever it is, neighborhoods, tamp this down because it's going to get somebody killed. How concerned are you about, as a police officer, about what is causing people this frenzy of wanting to do said crimes?
I would say that, yes, we should hold the media accountable for spinning certain narratives and the rhetoric that causes people to just go, I wouldn't say crazy, just to go wild, to take that further step to accomplish something that they have a strong belief in. And so the media is definitely to be held accountable. And regardless of what side of the aisle you're on politically, you know what, we need to somehow, some way, meet in the middle. Both of us, right? Both parties hop on the fence and get something accomplished. But when you have so much hatred for one particular president, I don't know, man. I always say, you know what? Let's see what happens in 3 years from now. And the saying, Jimmy, elections have consequences, and here we are suffering those consequences. So,
the voice of Marlon Marache, he's a decorated LA Police Department veteran, extensive experience in high-profile investigations. Speaking of high-profile investigations, back to the original topic, is the Nancy Guthrie case. Yesterday marked day 21. Today is day 22, in which dear Nancy has been missing, and it seems as if we had a flurry of activity last week, looking like there's going to be potential, and yet nothing's happening. What do you think is happening? Are they getting closer?
No, but I would hope that they're working very diligently and around the clock, right? 24 hours. Like I said before, no stone goes unturned. Let's get as many resources to conduct this full-blown investigation. You know what, Jimmy? What I would definitely say about this particular high-profile case, number one, we shouldn't have made it such a high-profile, nationalized, sensationalized case. One, two, I really have to be a little critical on all these major news outlet where they have all these experts on the ground and they're giving you this play-by-play announcement
Yeah.
every hour on the hour. I'll give you an example. Okay, the mobile command center just left and it's been gone for 4 hours. And SWAT also left with the mobile command center and they haven't been back in 4 hours. Okay, what does that tell us? That has absolutely no bearing. It's not germane to the actual investigation or the case as we're moving forward to do what? To apprehend the suspect or the suspects. And more important than anything, like I've said many times, is to ensure that Mrs. Guthrie makes it home safely.
We keep hearing stories about, we heard about a glove that was inside the house, a glove that was outside the house a mile down the road. This glove story keeps popping up, and yet we find out, oh, there's no DNA match. Oh, now they're going for familial DNA match. Oh, it's a different glove. Oh, how do we lose control of this glove story? What's real?
Well, that's just it. I would say that having to make this glove, which is part of the evidence, that's good stuff. You know what? If you want to report and tell the public, hey, we found this piece of evidence and let's just wait for the results, that's fine. We can go down a lot of rabbit holes as to whether or not it's the glove that was actually the suspect that was wearing it when he was at that video surveillance, trying to use that tree branch to cover his and conceal his identity, or if it's even related to it. Those rabbit holes, I suppose I'm okay. But again, the fact that we had a Nest video surveillance of the suspect, that's good evidentiary value to tell the public. One, the glove. Two, that's great. And having a search, I want to say they did they impounded a vehicle. I think it was a Range Rover or something like that, where they conducted this investigation. They detained a couple of suspects. All that stuff is good. But going back to your question about the glove, yeah, I suppose if you go down a couple of rabbit holes to find out whether the glove has any evidentiary value to this particular incident, I suppose I'm okay with that.
Yeah. The voice of Marlon Marachi. He's an LAPD sergeant, retired, and spent years as a public information officer, giving us his take on crime and the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Watching this from afar, I know you're watching it with a different paradigm, a different lens than I would be as a former communications officer in the police department of Los Angeles. Where do you think this case is at? I mean, the news media has been pretending like they're on the brink of some kind of a breakthrough. Yeah. Are you watching it going, they're still at square one? Are they at square two? What is your perspective on where this case is at?
Very good question. My heart just breaks to even think that there's a slight possibility that she's still alive. It's been 22 days. What makes it bizarre and awkward is the fact that the people that are involved, the individuals, sending ransom notes to TMZ, and again, no offense to to Harvey Levin and them, doesn't quite connect the dots as it doesn't quite connect the dots to make anyone think that this is like this real serious professional, sophisticated type of kidnapping. And so I want to say maybe back to square one. We are still looking, digging, and searching. And thank God for the FBI. And you and I kind of talked about this, Jimmy, the last time, is that this power struggle really took a toll in the beginning of the investigation, which is something that should have never happened in the first place, because at times when you have these high profile cases, maybe it gets self-serving, and that's not what we want, because again, the ultimate goal is to find Miss Guthrie and make sure she's healthy and safely. So again, I would say without those particular pieces of evidence, we're probably back to square one and just digging and searching and doing all the forensics, DNA, and all the stuff that you're supposed to do quote unquote, no stone goes unturned.
What's interesting that they keep looking for gloves, etc., but there's just been no motivation. Evidently, it's motive, I should say. I don't see the money's been moved out of her account. They say robbery was not an issue, which is baffling that we still don't know the motive. Why did they do this? I don't know. It's a mystery. What is also a mystery, Marlon Marachi, is that the only person seems to be doing interviews on this case or answering questions is the sheriff there in the county. I've not seen a big presser by the FBI. Give me your thoughts on that. Why is the sheriff the only guy talking and sometimes contradicting himself? And why is the FBI not communicating?
Because he is the sheriff. It is his community. It is his town. And you know what? I'm going to be the face of this incident that is nationalized. So in other words, I'm pretty much going to get the feather in the cap and, and the kudos on this particular incident. The FBI is working behind the scenes and they're probably telling the sheriff, hey, you know what? We are not going to do no press conferences until we have two things. One, more information to help us trying to narrow the scope of the investigation and find the suspect. Two, the reward. Hey, let's keep increasing it because maybe we need more tips or any other piece of evidence that's worth telling the public. Otherwise than that, you know what? We're just going to be behind the scenes. And that sheriff, and again, I don't know him. I don't want to pass any judgment on him. However, there seems to be some self-serving type of statements that are just I guess to me, they're not pertinent to the actual investigation.
Yeah. The voice of Marlon Marachi, LA Police Department Sergeant, PIO, retired, joins us on the program. Marlon, if folks want to keep up with you, watch you, hear you, read you, see you, whatever they want to do, I'm sure you're out there on some kind of a social media footprint. How do they find Marlon Marachi?
Let's go to Instagram, The Marachi Show, and of course on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. It's the Marlon Marachi Show, Truth Behind the Badge. Great stories of a lot. We've had already, 220 plus guests, all cops, to come in and tell their stories, not only about internal affairs, but you know what, their journey, which is super, super important. Because I will always say, Jimmy, we just don't have enough platforms for us to be a voice. So there you have it.
So unsolved crimes are a hot topic. Crime shows are a big hot topic. You kind of merge everything together in the Marlon Marachi Show. Do you think this Nancy Guthrie case could end up being one of these stumpified cases like a John Benet Ramsey, high profile, big profile, and yet we never really figure it out? Is that possible?
Very, very possible. I mean, think about it, Jimmy. We sent all the major news outlets and their experts on the grounds, again, being play-by-play announcers, and now we don't even hear about it at all. We're back to, hey, let's interview the sheriff on a one-on-one, and if we get a press conference, great. But yes, I suppose, as much as I hate to say it, let's just hope she's alive and well, and let's get her back. That's what's more important.
Everybody look up the Marlon Marachi Show. Marlon, that is available. What platforms are you on?
Instagram and YouTube for sure. Go to the channel, and don't forget to go to Instagram, The Marachi Show.
The Marachi Show. Marlon Marachi, appreciate you hopping on the program. Hope everybody will, if you're into the crime podcast and learning more about behind the scenes with the police, Marlon Marachi, The Marachi Show on the YouTube and the Instagram. Look him up, Marlon Marachi, indeed. Check it out, and we'll check back with him in the next few days and see if we have any breaking stories coming out of this Nancy Guthrie case. It is baffling, and I said this last week with Mr. Marachi. I said this last week, a lot of the news media, thousands of earballs will hear this show, and I've said it to all of you, that the news media should be embarrassed by how they've covered this thing. Last week, 2 weeks ago, was just absolutely ridiculous. Even on the Fox News, everybody, you'd have. I'll use an example. You have experts on the Laura Ingraham show contradicting the experts that Jesse Waters had. It happened across all the network platforms, and honestly, it was quite embarrassing, and it showed a lack of journalistic integrity. And as Marlon Marachi said, right, look, the SWAT team just pulled off out of the parking lot. It had no relevance to anything, but the news media covered it as if it was some epic moment, and it really wasn't. And the news media has really, if you were skeptical of the media before, you should be very skeptical now by the way they've covered this Nancy Guthrie case. Again, we want Miss Guthrie to come home. I pray that she is safe. I can't imagine the horrific heartbreak that the family's going through the agony, but again, the media's covered this in a very, very, very strange way. All right, tomorrow night's the State of the Union in the Washington, D.C. Some of the Democrats say they're going to skip the State of the Union. They're going to boycott it, and I'm sure all of us go, shucks. I did like Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania, saying if his colleagues in the Democrat Party do show up at the State of the Union, he hopes they're not holding up the little paddles again, looking like fools. So Democrats, the way you have looked so foolish in previous State of the Union's addresses, it's probably better for you to keep your ass out of the House chamber tomorrow. Just go away, and America would be better off if you just went away and don't show up there if you're going to act like petulant children that don't get your way. If you're going to be the elected version of Antifa terrorist types that are willing to, quote, light your hair on fire and just scream a lot, then stay away from the dignity that is the State of the Union, and the America will be better off for that. So we'll see which Democrats actually boycott, because we know Democrats show up at the State of the Union. They won't stand for Laken Riley. They won't stand for the little boy that's suffering from cancer that just wanted to be a Secret Service officer or a Department of Homeland Security officer. They won't stand for him. They're a disgusting lot in their behavior across America, the Democrat Party, and we saw that last year at the State of the Union or the special address to Congress. So Democrats, if you're going to act like asswipes again, just stay home and stop embarrassing all of us and even embarrassing yourself if you have the capability of doing that. Tomorrow, it seems likely, the rumor is that President Trump wants the USA men's hockey team and the USA women's hockey teams that represented the United States at the Winter Olympics to be in the chamber and to recognize them. And I'm sure because that's going to be a chant of USA and God bless America, I'm sure many Democrats will be very bothered by that, and they're not going to like that. But if the hockey team show up, that will be a rousing moment of, again, God bless America, and we can all come together. Unless you're a Democrat, then you can never, if Donald Trump cheers the USA hockey teams tomorrow, if he recognizes them, then you're going to, the Democrats' default position is going to be, we hate hockey, we hate men, we hate women, and the men should not have won because they're all toxic masculinity. I mean, the Democrats have painted themselves into a corner of Trump derangement syndrome that they can't stand for Laken Riley. They can't stand for anything that President Trump is drawing attention to in the State of the Union. So tomorrow, if the president draws attention to the USA hockey gold medals for the men and the women, the Democrats, go ahead, get your talking points out. You're going to have to be apoplectic and once again show your hatred for anything that President Trump and America likes, and that would be winning gold medals at the Olympics. All right. We'll talk more about the State of the Union tomorrow. There's a couple of other stories we have not gotten to today. Russiagate has quietly reached the Supreme Court. The SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, Russiagate has made it there. You say, why is Russiagate being talked about in the Supreme Court? Well, justices have been asked to allow feds to be sued for their FISA abuses. There's been litigation that Carter Page, an energy consultant who briefly served as a foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump in his 2016 campaign, he became the subject of the FBI investigation into possible Russian interference in the election. And that action, as you may recall, was known as Crossfire Hurricane. Well, in 2020, Carter Page, they got ramrodded and had to pay for legal fees and all this nonsense that happened because of Joe Biden's incompetent Department of Justice and the weaponization of the Department of Justice. They really made Carter Page's life hell with Crossfire Hurricane. Well, Page has filed a federal lawsuit seeking damages from then FBI Director James Comey and other former officials, including Deputy Director Andrew McCabe and former Director Rod Rosenstein. He alleges that they violated his constitutional rights. They submitted him by submitting false or misleading information so that they could get a FISA warrant, and that he was wrongfully surveilled as part of a politically motivated investigation. Carter Page has been seeking hundreds of millions of dollars in damages from people like James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Attorney General, and the U.S. government. Federal courts ultimately dismissed Carter Page's lawsuit, but the Justice Department does acknowledge they had serious mistakes in the FISA process. And so Carter Page is appealing this and says, listen, they say they screwed up, They know they screwed up. They did the wrong thing. Why am I being denied in my lawsuit? So the petition was filed with the Supreme Court after the U.S. Court of Appeals affirmed the dismissal for Page's lawsuit. And now he's going to the Supreme Court and say, my lawsuit should not be dismissed. I should be compensated for the reckless behavior of fools and idiots like James Comey and Rod Rosenstein and Andrew McCabe and the Biden administration. Why is it that I, a private citizen, cannot be compensated for this false investigation and false surveillance that happened on me? And Page's lawyers are arguing that the case is important to civil liberties and that the justices should allow victims of false FISA warrants to sue federal officials. And I would have to say here, and I hope SCOTUS gets your program right here, and that they don't protect the deep state or the other branches of government, and that they let private citizens be able to stand up against these types of weaponized behaviors by the federal government. And it's going to go to SCOTUS. It hasn't made a lot of publicity, but keep an eye on it, because it's going to be interesting to see what happens as Carter Page's case makes it all the way to the Supreme Court. Anybody see this AOC last week? We'll talk about this more tomorrow. And I've got the video. You've got to see it. Well, I don't have the video. That's why I'm not going to show it right now, because I don't have it. It wasn't working last night when I was trying to get it. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, decided that she was going to almost go into tears on a video, a little selfie video, in which the little Congresswoman decided to say it's Donald Trump's fault that she stuttered on her foreign policy debut there in Munich last week, whenever she stuttered and they asked her about foreign policies, and she goes, and she stuttered. And she says, the only reason I stuttered is because I was thinking, and you have a president, Donald Trump, that he doesn't think before he says anything. If you want to see Trump derangement syndrome and the poster child for foolishness, it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And again, she might want to go back and polish up her career as a barmaid or as a bartender, because her foreign policy acumen was obviously brought into question. And rather than say, you know what, I probably should have been more prepared, or, rather than that, she had to go to Donald Trump. She had to blame the error of her ways on Donald Trump. When you make as big of an ass of yourself, as big of a fool of yourself as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did last week, and when you're questioned by it, and even your own party, and even the media that's usually favorable to you, when they cover it and they make fun of you as well, when your only explanation is this Donald Trump's fault, it shows that this woman is either drunk on her own beverages that she's been pouring for herself, or she's totally incompetent and doesn't need to be in the national spotlight. But the good news is the Democrats keep putting AOC, the barmaid, right out there in public spectacle so we can see how incompetent she is. And what's also interesting, she's the leader of the Democrat Party. You got AOC, you got Jasmine Crockett. Oh, and you also have the incompetent, greasy-haired boob named Gavin Newsom out there. Democrats, I know you have a Trump derangement syndrome, but you might want to see and be very careful, rather than just reflecting all the time on orange man bad. You might want to contemplate and consider the forward-facing or the front-facing people of your party. And maybe you like it that AOC is the face of your party, because she's again, rather than take responsibility, say, I had a bad moment and I stuttered and I stammered, and here's a white paper, here's my stance on this, or rather than that, she just has to melt down and she has to blame Trump. And it just shows the intellectual shallowness of the leader, AOC, of the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi couldn't stand up to her. Hakeem Jeffries, who's like a Temu version of Obama, dollar store version of Obama, he can't stand up to her. AOC's making an ass of herself over and over and over. And guess what? The Democrat Party just says, well, we don't have nothing better, so just blame Trump. Again, Trump derangement syndrome on display. I got to find the video. I tried to find it last night. I found it. I just couldn't get it downloaded for some reason, so I will work on that as well. All right. I got a question for you here. Have you ever given your home number out? If you want to complain about the show, listen, I'll give producer Chad's home number. I'm not giving my home number out. And we're probably not even going to do that. I would not even be that cruel. Well, the president of Burger King, anybody go to the Burger King? You know what they call that in Australia? They call it Hungry Jacks. Hungry Jacks is what you have in Australia. It's what we call it Burger King, right? He's decided to give out his own phone number And if you want to complain or make conversation about anything, I'll talk about that story tomorrow. It's because my computer's freaking out right now. By the way, Delilah, have you noticed I've been sitting here very professional talking to R.P. Newman and Marla Marachi? Have you seen what's been happening outside the studio? You've been watching it too? There's been police activity outside the studio the entire show. I'm watching, there's police activity outside the Lakey Entertainment Towers. Not related to the Lakey Entertainment Towers, but there's out the windows we can see. There's been police activity the whole time. I think they moved on. I think the final cars just pulled off, right? Anyway, that's why my computer's, I'm trying to log in, but I'm like, I want to see the police activity going on here. Police activity just outside the Lakey Entertainment Towers. Don't worry, my friends. I saw no firearms pulled. Everyone looks to be safe, and we were safe here. And Aiden and the hipster youth were keeping a sharp eye on it to make sure that I didn't need to evacuate or anything. But we're good. I think that's true story. First time I've ever had police activity happening out on the streets outside the Lakey Entertainment Tower. I don't know what it was, a traffic stop. I'm not sure what it was. But there were lots of popo out there for a moment, weren't there? Yeah. I saw the popo and I said, well, Delilah, what did you do? Did you get caught dancing again in an inappropriate? I didn't know what Delilah did. No, police activity outside the Lakey Entertainment Towers. It looks all safe. The all clear. That's good. That's good. It's happy to hear that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned Sherry Cree. I also want to remind you about our charity work we do in Rwanda, Rivers Promise, Hope for Children. Go to the website, check it out. It's the final week of the month of February. As you head into your final paycheck for this month, please remember Rivers Promise and the work that we do, feeding children, educating kids. And we appreciate so many of you pitched in a couple of bucks here and there last week that helped us get closer to our goal. We're still not at the February goal, but if you can help us more, we'd love for you to go to riverspromise.org, say a quick little prayer and say, God, is there anything I could do here? Maybe the answer is yes, maybe the answer is no, but we'd love to have you participate with us. Small amounts mean a lot for us, and we do appreciate all of your donations as we take care of kids in Rwanda. Somebody asked me this week, when am I going back to Rwanda? And that's a great question. I realized this weekend, I was so busy, such a long weekend, that with so many activities going on that I'm like, I got to get back to Africa. I haven't been there. I know this sounds shocking. For many people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list trip. For me, it's 3 or 4 times a year. And I have not been since early December. And that makes me very, very sad. And, you know, for people to say, well, that's you. No, I usually about every 3 months, 4 months, I'm in Africa. And so I'm starting to get the itch. I got to go. So anyway, all that said, make a donation, riverspromise.org, and help feed the kids for a February food drive. And by the way, pray for the kids if you sponsor a kid. Today began midterms for them, where they do midterm exams at Legacy Christian Academy. Over the weekend, one of my field directors, Jonas, was on the way to the school to supervise the education over the weekend because they had some remedial kids that weren't necessarily feeling prepared for the midterm exam. So they had special classes on Saturday to make sure that they were caught up and able to perform greatly at the midterm exam. So say prayers for your sponsored kids, because we believe in meritocracy at our school, and we want everybody to perform well on the test and show that they're getting the material that we're teaching, and it's midterm exam time, and we want the education they're going to get is legitimate. They're not going to get a diploma or certificate just based on participation. We believe in meritocracy at Legacy Christian Academy. Go check it out. Riverspromise.org, 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 and feel free to jump into the conversation. All right, glad to have you here on the program. Jimmy is my name. If you don't follow us on all the platforms, you should. We're right now streaming and throughout the day broadcast and streamcast and podcast. Thousands of earballs will hear this show, and make sure that you follow us on all the pages. You can find us on Brian Maloney's Red Wave America, the Media Equalizer page, Facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. If you want to find my personal pages, go to Instagram. We don't stream on Instagram any longer. We used to. We could resume that, but you can just find my page, Instagram, my Facebook page, Jimmy Lakey fan page, spell the whole thing out, my X account, my Rumble account, all these places, look for us. And if you want to listen later on in the program, here's what I would encourage you to do. You ready for this? I want you to go to the iHeartRadio app. You go to iHeart, you go to Spotify, you go to Apple Podcasts. All the podcast platforms have us, and you can listen to the program accordingly on all those platforms if you miss any part of the show. If you missed the earlier interview with R.P. Newman, you missed out a whole bunch of information and intelligence regarding our activity potentially coming up in Iran and some analysis of what's happening in the narco-terrorist state of Mexico. All of these things are out there for your consideration, and go back and listen to them. If you want to hear audio only, again, the podcast platform, this will be live on all the podcast platforms in just a matter of moments. I see a couple of comments coming in. I'll wrap up the show before we go to the meme roulette. AOC is not the leader of the Democrat Party. She's a tool that they roll out to distract the American people from the damage that their party is attempting to inflict on our country. Bob, I hear you, but the problem is she's not doing it. The more you see her, the more you're reminded of the damage that their party is attempting to inflict on the country. She is a constant reminder of the stupidity of the modern Democrat Party. If they were trying to distract, they might want to put lipstick on the pig and put somebody out there that's truly distracting. But AOC is a reminder of the damage that the Democrat Party is attempting to inflict on our country. She is a constant reminder, and this is why I say keep trotting her out there and let her go out there. But her blaming of President Trump for her, I guess, mental fart or mental lapse that she had there in Munich is quite classic, and it shows what we're talking about. The Trump derangement syndrome is real, and modern-day Democrats and liberalism, as Ann Coulter one time said, it is a true mental disorder, and the fact that they're buying into anything that AOC, or think that she's a distraction from it, just shows you the stupidity of that party, that if you think that, as Bob says, you think that AOC is going to distract us from the idiocy of your party, she is a constant in-your-face reminder of the intellectual bankruptcy that the modern-day liberalism and modern-day Democrat has. She is a constant reminder of that stupidity. So keep wheeling around there. I'm okay with that. I wonder if AOC is going to boycott the speech tomorrow. Counter programming is never going to be a good thing. Some of them are going on other networks to counter program. Yeah, see how that works out for you. I would not suggest it, but just sit there and act like grown adults. And unfortunately, they're not able to do that. The most grown adult they have is AOC to put out there, and that's a very disturbing thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to wrap this thing up. Lots of stories we did not get to. We'll come back to them tomorrow. But again, USA wins the hockey match. We'll check the betting polls and see if the Team USA men and women are going to be at the State of the Union tomorrow. Also, we'll continue to follow up any new information about the Trump derangement syndrome that led to what could have been a third assassination attempt on President Trump over the weekend, as a 21-year-old Putz was shot down for having a gas can and a shotgun and getting into the confines, into the outside perimeter, or into the perimeter of Mar-a-Lago. We'll talk more about that as well. And Florida lawmakers vote to rename Palm Beach Airport. That's going to be interesting to start watching as the media is going to go apoplectic every time in the future years, not just Palm Beach, but in the coming years when you start having all these things named after President Trump. It's going to be interesting to watch the media try to cover that and watch the left go crazy when you have your first Donald Trump elementary school or when you have your first Donald Trump highway. That's going to be fun to watch, that these leftists are not going to be able to handle it. By the way, we're already hearing things being like Palm Beach Airport being renamed for Donald Trump. Has anyone found anything yet that's been renamed for Joe Biden? Has Delaware decided that they're going to rename something for? There may be something, but we'll do some research on this. Has anything been named after Joe Biden? Maybe the Senior Citizen Center could be named after Joe Biden. That's going to be interesting. If Joe Biden's going to get something named after himself, I'm guessing it's not going to be an airport. Maybe it would be. Maybe they're going to have a Biden airport. But yeah, Donald Trump's going to get the name of the Palm Beach Airport thanks to the legislature in Florida. We'll talk more about that and let us know exactly what it is that you think in your neighborhood and or your state should be renamed down the road or immediately to Donald Trump, and how many heads will explode watching his name being put on highways, byways, elementary schools, libraries, etc. I think it's fantastic and good for very good for Donald Trump and the state of Florida. Palm Beach Airport, the opening salvo of the many naming things that are going to happen for Donald Trump. Ray points this out on YouTube. Ray, it's a great point. No one has mentioned the Biden Library. Has anyone heard about the Biden Presidential Library? I don't think he has any funding for it. I don't think I thought there would be a deal that if you drop out of the race and let Kamala jump in here, we will help fund your library. But I think they've left Joe Biden to the curb, and you're not hearing any talk. And Joe Biden is going to be like Obama. Obama still hasn't finished his presidential library, and it's a dozen years later. So that's just shows you the incompetence of these fools out there. I would like to make a prediction. It's just based on a prediction. You ready for this? It's just my gut. Is that Donald Trump's library won't be finished, but it will be well underway and under construction before he leaves, because as he gets elderly, Donald Trump wants to be there for the celebration to tell you how great his library is. It'll be the greatest presidential library ever known to man, and he's going to have that. So I don't think I would suspect that Donald Trump's presidential library could be completed and operational before Barry Hussein Obama's presidential library. And definitely probably Donald Trump's presidential library is going to be completed before the Joe Biden library. Yeah. Just curious. So has anything been renamed for Joe Biden? Is anybody clamoring to go, boy, I hope they change the name of my elementary school to Joe Biden Elementary? I don't think so, but we'll find out. We'll do some research on that. Men's hockey doubtful attending State of the Union since NHL starts on Wednesday. That's true. I don't. Yeah, that could be true that they won't be there, but maybe, yeah, women could be because they're not in the NHL, are they? The women play. Yeah, they don't do. Jeff says on YouTube, Biden's library will be in the garage next to his Corvette. Yeah, of all the presidential libraries, you might find, I've never been to the brothel, this what Rush Limbaugh used to call the Bill Clinton Library in Little Rock. I've never been to that brothel yet, but I've heard it's not that great. Massage parlor, that's what Rush Limbaugh called it, massage parlor and brothel. Rush called it something. So I've not been there. I have Barack Obama's, I don't have any desire to go. I guess if I found myself stumbling through the south side of Chicago and I needed respite from the crime of that hell-ridden city, I might run into the library seeking refuge, trying to get an Uber out of there or a police armed escort out of the south side of Chicago and the cesspool that it is. But I don't know. I don't have any desire to go to, if you had to choose to go to Joe Biden's or Barack Obama's library, I'm going to Obama's. I'll have to go see Obama's library. And the libraries are interesting. I haven't been to the Reagan one. Go see the Reagan one. I've been to the LBJ one. I've been to several of them. I have not been to the Bill Clinton one. Well, I'm just afraid to touch stuff there. I'm afraid to just be icky and sticky and nasty, and I'm just afraid. I'm afraid that my sensibilities would be shocked if they portray Bill Clinton to be the man that he really, really is and the man that he really was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what I have in my left hand and on the televisions on your right side, it's the globe that we have a cheap prop here because we're a cheap show, and this is where we steal memes from around the intergoogles. You ready? Let's do it. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Here's an inconvenient truth. This is true. Fact check me, baby. More people have been shot by trans women than by ICE agents in 2026. Look at there. That's truth there. More people shot by the trans women than by ICE agents in 2026. Where are the Antifa protesters out there? Where are you at? Get out of your mama's basement and protest these dangerous, dangerous people. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Gavin Newsom's presidential ambition sunk after a nation discovers he's the one running California? Yeah. What a hellhole that place has become. A beautiful state. Lived there. I was a resident there for a period of time. It's a cesspool, thanks to Gavin Newsom. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. 2020 versus 2026. In 2020, the blue-haired lesbian Subaru driver screaming, "It's illegal not to wear a mask. You can get hurt." In 2026, that same nasty-ass woman is saying, "It's legal to wear a mask. It's illegal to wear a mask. We want you to get hurt." If the left didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. That's true. Right there, screaming and yelling, belly aching and bitching. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. If Canada became the 51st states, they could be winners too. Bunch of losers up there. I heard that some of the Colorado Avalanche players were playing for the Canadian team, at which point I said, I'm canceling my season tickets for those traitorous sons of guns playing for Canada. Of course, I didn't have season tickets to the Avalanche game. Never been to a Colorado Avalanche game, but it was fun to say. Yeah, God bless America, USA. Round and round the globe. Why don't you play for the Canadians? AOC, the only waitress in history to bring nothing to the table. There she is. It's all Trump's fault. I didn't bring anything to the table because Donald Trump is a bad man. He's a bad man. I don't know anything about it. Stuff. Donald Trump. Derangement syndrome. What a disgrace. Keep parading around there, Democrats. I love it. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There's the Statue of Liberty, not shaking her fist, but sitting down with a cigarette and some booze. And I tried to warm you, dumbasses. I tried to. That's that looks like me after a staff meeting at the Lakey Entertainment Towers. That's what happens. I got Delilah, the hipster youth, Aiden. That's me. What were we thinking? Why did we hire them? That's producer Chad after every show. What was I thinking, Lakey? Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from? No one. See, we have a wobbly accent. That's good. Asked to spell orange, she said, the fruit or the color. There's AOC. The face of the Democrat Party, she is. Here she is, the glory girl of all things Democrat, barmaid extraordinaire. Hey, could you spell orange? It's Donald Trump. He's orange. You want the fruit or the color of the president? Keep parading her out there. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from? No. Oh, my goodness, we have been gonged by the Chinese for our intellectual property theft, in which we must stop. Because if we don't stop when the Chinese tell us to stop our intellectual property theft, they threaten to release another Chinese flu from China. That's their threat. They always say they're going to get us with a flu. They do. Everybody knows the black glasses today? Yep, back to the black glasses. Until tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget Sherry Krieg, great sponsor of the show. And also don't forget, my friends, if you would try not to forget, don't forget that you should indeed go to riverspromise.org, homeswithsherry.com. You see all the websites there. If you're interested in learning more about the show, wherever you're at across America, you can always email us, info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com. If you missed a part of the show, don't forget, go like and subscribe to us on all the podcast platforms. Hear the great interview, conversation, and insight from R.P. Newman, and also Mar-a-Lago security to the Nancy Guthrie case. All of these things can be heard now, audio only, within just a matter of moments. Apple Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart. Thousands of earballs will hear this show if you're listening later in the day. Hello from the morning. If you're listening on a different day in the future, hello from the past. We hope you're doing great up there in the future. It's a glorious day the Lord has made, February the 23rd, year of our Lord 2026. Until we meet again tomorrow morning on State of the Union Day in America. I am Jimmy Lakey, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart and from the heart of my bottom. What the hell's that mean? God bless you. God bless America. Jimmy Lakey, peace. I'm out of here.